The rain started as a faint patter on the rental car's roof and quickly escalated into a deafening roar. A solid sheet of water that the wipers fought a losing battle against. I, Chloe, a 26-year-old marketing associate, white-knuckled the passenger seat door handle, while my boss, Mr. David Miller, let out a low groan from the driver's seat. Asterisk, GPS is gone, he announced, tapping the unresponsive screen on the dashboard. No signal, nothing. Asterisk, a trip that was supposed to be a simple, in-and-out client meeting in a charming, rustic town in the Colorado foothills had turned into a navigational nightmare. The main highway was closed due to a sudden landslide, forcing us onto these winding, poorly marked back, and now this. The sky, a bruised purple, seemed to have given up all its light at once, plunging the world into an early, stormy darkness. Asterisk, we can't drive in this, David, I said, the informality of his first name feeling foreign on my tongue even after 2 days of travel. In the office, he was always Mr. Miller, the sharp, slightly intimidating head of the department with a reputation for ruthless efficiency. Asterisk, he didn't argue. David was a pragmatic man in his late 40s, with the beginnings of silver at his temples and a calm, analytical demeanor I'd always admired. He squinted through the waterfall on the windshield. There, up ahead, lights. Asterisk, I followed his gaze and saw it a faint, warm glow that resolved into the shape of a 2-story wooden lodge with a sign that creaked violently in the wind, Whispering Pines Retreat. It looked like something out of a postcard. If the postcard had been through a hurricane. Asterisk, pulling into the gravel parking lot was a relief. We made a frantic, soaking dash for the covered porch, our suitcases thumping awkwardly behind us. The inside of the lodge was a haven of warmth and the scent of pine and burning wood. An elderly man with a kind face and a thick wool sweater stood behind a rustic front desk. Asterisk, welcome, folks, he said, his voice a gentle rumble. You two are a sight for sore eyes. Not many brave these roads in a storm like this. Asterisk, we didn't have much of a choice, David said, running a hand through his wet, dark hair. We need 2 rooms for the night, please. Asterisk, the man's face fell into an expression of genuine apology. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. With the highway closure and the festival in the next town over, we're completely booked up. I've only got 1 room left, the Aspen Suite. It's our largest, has a king-sized bed and a pull-out sofa. Asterisk, my stomach did a little flip. 1 room. With my boss. This was veering wildly out of the realm of a standard business trip. Asterisk, David glanced at me, his expression unreadable. Chloe, what do you think? Asterisk, what could I say? Sleep in the car. The wind howled outside as if to answer that question. It's fine, I managed, forcing a smile. The sofa will be perfect for me. Asterisk, the Aspen Suite was, thankfully, as advertised, spacious and clean, dominated by a large stone fireplace and that formidable king-sized bed. A sturdy-looking sofa sat against one wall. The atmosphere was thick with an unspoken, mutual awkwardness. Asterisk, I'll take the couch, David said immediately, dropping his bag. No arguments. You're the boss, I replied, a little too quickly, then cringed at my own words. He gave a small, wry smile. Not in here. I'm not. In here, we're just 2 people stranded in a storm. Asterisk, we ordered room service's surprisingly good steak for him, a pasta dish for me, and ate at the small table by the window, making stilted conversation about the client meeting, about the project deadlines waiting for us back in Seattle. But the professional facade was thin, stretched taut over the bizarre reality of our situation. Asterisk, after dinner, David got a fire going in the fireplace. The crackling flames cast dancing shadows around the room, and the relentless sound of the rain was softened into a steady rhythmic backdrop. We sat in the 2 armchairs facing the hearth, a comfortable silence beginning to settle between us for the first time. Asterisk, you know, David said, staring into the flames, I never properly thanked you for your work on the Henderson account. You handled the presentation flawlessly. I know Richard can be difficult. Asterisk, Richard was the senior VP, a man known for his abrasive style. It was a team effort, I said modestly. Asterisk, it was your analysis that saved it, he insisted, his gaze meeting mine. The firelight caught the flecks of green in his otherwise brown eyes. You have a sharp mind, Chloe. Sharper than you let on. You're always so quiet in meetings. Asterisk, I was taken aback. I'd always assumed he saw me as just another competent but replaceable junior employee. I guess I just prefer to listen until I have something concrete to say. Asterisk, a rare quality, he mused. Most people just like to hear themselves talk. Asterisk, the conversation drifted away from work. He asked me about where I grew up, about my family. I found myself telling him about my parents' bookstore, about wanting to move to the city to make my own mark, about the constant, low-grade fear that I wasn't cut out for the corporate world. To my astonishment, he listened. Not like a boss waiting for his turn to speak, but like someone genuinely interested. Then, he started talking about himself. He spoke of his college days, not as a business major, but as a literature student, who dreamed of being a writer. He talked about the pressure he felt taking over his father's company, about the divorce that had finalized a year ago, about the loneliness of a big, empty house. I think I got so caught up in being Mr. Miller that I forgot how to be David, he said, his voice softer now. My ex-wife said I'd become a stranger in my own home. I think she was right. I saw him then, not as my superior, but as a man with regrets, with a past, with dreams that had been shelved for responsibility. The perfectly tailored armor of his professional persona had a crack in it, and the human being underneath was far more complex and interesting than I had ever imagined. The storm raged on, but inside, the room felt safe, almost sacred. We talked for hours, the conversation flowing effortlessly from books to travel, from our biggest failures to our silliest childhood fears. I made him laugh with a story about my disastrous first attempt at baking a cake. A real, deep laugh that transformed his usually serious face. I realized I'd never heard him laugh like that before. At one point, while describing a hiking trip, he gestured animatedly, and his hand brushed against mine on the armrest. A simple, accidental touch. But a jolt, warm and electric, passed between us. We both fell silent. The air in the room changed, charged with a new, unspoken tension. My heart hammered against my ribs. His eyes searched mine, and for a wild, terrifying, thrilling moment, I thought he might lean in. But he didn't. He pulled his hand back slowly, clearing his throat. It's getting late, he said, his voice returning to its familiar, measured tone, though it sounded a little strained. We should probably try to get some sleep. The spell was broken. The professional boundary, momentarily blurred, was firmly back in place. Right, I said, my own voice a little unsteady. I'm going to use the bathroom first. I splashed cold water on my face, staring at my reflection in the mirror. What was that? Was I reading too much into a shared moment of vulnerability? He was my boss. This was a line that, once crossed, could never be uncrossed. When I came out, he had already changed into a t-shirt and sweatpants and was pulling the blankets out for the sofa. The king-sized bed loomed large and empty behind him. Good night, Chloe, he said, not quite meeting my eyes. Good night, David, I whispered. I lay in the vast bed, listening to the sounds of him settling on the couch, which was clearly too short for him. I could hear the storm finally beginning to subside, the rain softening to a gentle drizzle, but the turmoil inside me was just beginning. I replayed every word, every glance, every second of that conversation by the fire. The memory of that brief touch replayed on a loop, sending a fresh wave of heat through me each time. Sleep was a long time coming. The next morning, I woke to sunlight streaming through the windows. The storm was gone, replaced by a world washed clean and sparkling. David was already up, dressed and on the phone, his back to me, speaking in his crisp, professional voice about quarterly reports. He turned when he heard me stir. His smile was polite, friendly, but it was the smile of Mr. Miller, my boss. The intimate connection of the night before felt like a dream. The highway's open, he said, hanging up. We should hit the road. Big day tomorrow back at the office. The drive back was the complete opposite of the drive there. The sun was bright, the roads were clear, and the GPS worked perfectly. We talked, but it was different. It was about work, about logistics, about the upcoming project review. The easy camaraderie was gone, replaced by a careful, mutual politeness. It was as if we had both silently agreed to pretend the previous night never happened. We landed in Seattle by midday. He drove me to my apartment building,